Hello, everyone. Happy Women's History Month. Good evening. I am Lakeisha Wade, the Manager of Equity and Inclusion in the Office of the Mayor, and I am truly honored to welcome you all to our Women's History Month Cultural Connections panel discussion. Today, we gather to celebrate and recognize the powerful contributions of women, especially those in our local nonprofit community, who are making a lasting impact here in the city of Frederick. Women have been at the heart of change and progress in every corner of the world. And today, we have the unique opportunity to spotlight the incredible work that is being done by women right here in our own community. These women, through their dedication, resilience, and commitment, are driving social change, lifting up those who need it most, and paving the way for future generations to thrive. Our panel today brings together voices from across the nonprofit sector, and I encourage you to listen, learn, and be inspired by the stories of leadership, courage, and innovation that we will all hear. Whether through advocacy, service, or activism, or just caring, these women are shaping the future of Frederick, and today is about providing space to understand the impact that women and nonprofits have on our lives and the lives of everyone within our community. There are many successes for us to celebrate, but there is even more ground for us to cover, so we must learn how to support and amplify the current efforts. I thank each of you for being here today and supporting the vital work of these change makers. Today, we can continue to build a community where everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed, thrive, and contribute. Let's celebrate the strength, the spirit, and the incredible impact of all women today. Enjoy the event. Without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage Mayor Michael O'Connor.
Good evening, residents, community leaders, and friends. It is a privilege to welcome you to our Cultural Connection panel for Women's History Month. We're here to celebrate the accomplishments of women and to recognize how the women of Frederick and the nonprofits they run help support and empower others. I am Mayor Michael O'Connor, and I am so honored to be your host for this evening. I want to acknowledge a couple of individuals who are also here this evening, some of our other elected officials, the ones that I've seen, all women, by the way. County Council Member Renee Knapp in the back. City Council Member Kelly Russell. City Council Vice President Derek Shackelford just walked in, so. And one of the members of our elected Board of Education, Ray Gallagher, who we will hear from a little bit later. I also think that it is fair to say that not one of us in this room would be here if not for a woman, literally. And I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to acknowledge 4 women who have meant so much to me. My own mother, who was the youngest of 3 daughters, raised substantially by a single mother, who by trade was a microbiologist and a school teacher. My wife, Tammy, who makes everything that I do possible and is, without being cliche, the wind beneath my wings. And our 2 daughters, Claire and Erin, both of whom have found their way in the world, one as an environmental engineer working for the federal government today, and a doctor of physical therapy, my daughter Erin, at a hospital in Pittsburgh. I could not be more proud of the young women and leaders that they have become in their own right. I want to say thank you to a couple of others to set the table. owned by Chef Erica Wildberger. Chef, thank you for the delicious grazing table. Nothing says unforgettable culinary experience like limitless charcuterie. Thank you to Marissa and Miranda Misner for the incredible Frederick laundry, for cleaning and pressing the tablecloths you see here on the stage tonight. Trust me when I say, I have never seen City of Frederick tablecloths look so good. And lastly, I encourage everyone to visit the Women's History Month exhibition, Embodied, Intersectional Experiences of Womanhood, on display at City Hall as part of our Art in City Hall program through April 2nd. This powerful collection featuring 8 women-identifying artists from Frederick or with significant ties to our city explore themes of identity, gender, and societal expectations. Embodied features Julia Schreckengaust, Kristen Arts, Dr. Margaret Dowell, Melissa Miley, Nicole Fox Abuamada, Sophia Parkins, and co-creators Jamie Gerhold and Jillian Abir McMaster. Join us on Friday, March 28th, from 4 to 6 p.m. with a reception with the artists at City Hall. With deep appreciation for all who've helped bring us to this moment, let's now turn our heart to today's discussion. Tonight, we are celebrating Women's History Month, present and future. The contributions of women through sometimes overlooked narratives have been the foundation of our societal, cultural, and economic development. Throughout time, women have led the way. One of the greatest achievements in my life, as I said, is being the dad to my 2 strong, brave, smart daughters who are forging their own paths. From Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, Angela Davis to Gloria Steinem, Elizabeth Ann Seton to Malala, Shirley Chisholm to Ann Richards, Roberta Flack to Beyonce. Women not only excel in their fields, but through their examples and efforts, they have championed the rights and well-being of their own communities and broadened the fight for equality. In short, as Queen Bee would say, who run the world? Girls. We honor the women who have led the way, and tonight we honor you. You are doing the work today to make a brighter future for everyone. And frankly, that is what equity and diversity and inclusion are all about. The city of Frederick has long been a home to trailblazing women whose courage and determination have forged pathways for generations. Their legacy lives on not only in our collective memory, but also in the ongoing work of the nonprofit organizations here today. True leadership is lifting others as you rise, and you all do this every day. I'd like to acknowledge the remarkable efforts of each nonprofit here tonight. We have groups who provide resources, safe spaces, mentorship, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial support, coaching, and community building. We have Girls on the Run, Andrea's House, Woman-to-Woman Mentoring, CareNet, Women Solve, and Avani, to name a few. These organizations are making a profound difference. Their work ensures that every woman and girl in Frederick has access to the resources they need to succeed, resources that can transform lives and enrich our world, because when women succeed, everyone succeeds. There is much to celebrate tonight, but it cannot be overstated that the fight for women's equality remains ongoing, and I take inspiration from the women who continue to lead the way. As mayor, I remain committed to following that lead. Through collaboration, mutual support, we can continue to break down barriers, The initiatives championed by our local nonprofits not only power individuals, they also foster a stronger, more vibrant community where everyone benefits. In closing, before we get to the panel, I extend my deepest gratitude to all of you, the visionaries, the doers, and the supporters who make Frederick a city of empowerment and opportunity. Let us celebrate the legacy of the women who have paved the way and commit to supporting those who follow, like our nonprofits here tonight. As Erica and Layla said in the video, supporting women is not just about 1 month a year. It's about committing to action every day. So let's continue lifting each other up, advocating for rights that contribute toward our greater good, and making history together. Tonight we are building a future where every woman has the chance to succeed and prosper, and where the spirit of resilience and hope continues to light our path. Thank you. Enjoy this inspiring evening, and please welcome our panel guests. Amanda Whitner from Woman to Woman Mentoring. Carlia Summers from Andrea's House. Ray Gallagher from Girls on the Run. And Lakshmi Darba from Avani. So we have some questions for the panel, and we are going to open it up a little bit later for questions from all of you. So please be thinking now about what you might like to ask these tremendous leaders on stage. Before we get to some of the structured questions, I would like to give each of you an opportunity to provide a brief 2-minute overview of your nonprofit's purpose and mission. We heard a little bit about that in the video, but we'd like to hear more, and we'll start at this end.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I am Amanda Whitner. I'm the Executive Director of Woman to Woman Mentoring. And Woman to Woman Mentoring is really focused on supporting women through mentoring programs, building community, supporting, providing guidance, all through those mentoring relationships. And we do that through a variety of ways. And we serve adult women here in Frederick and in Carroll counties. And we were born and raised here in Frederick as an organization, so hopefully we'll get to share that. But we've been around since 2009. We're going into our 10th year of being officially a 501c3, but we are a small profit that really is dedicated to supporting women and helping them grow to achieve their personal and professional goals.
Hi, I'm Carlia Summers. I am the CEO and founder of Andrea's House, and what we do is we provide transitional living, housing, as well as treatment services for women recovering from substance use disorders, and we allow them to do so with their children. That also includes domestic violence and trauma, as those often accompany each other with substance abuse. And so what we do is we do financial literacy, parenting classes. We completely prep them to be prepared for independent living and also to reunify with their children, as most of them have had their children removed due to their issues in society. And so we work as a team. We work with the community to try to make sure that these women don't lose their families, and it is a team effort. And so at Andrea's House, we work together to do that and do so in the community as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be up on this stage with these three powerhouses, and I see a lot of other powerhouse women in the audience as well, so thank you for being here. My name is Ray Gallagher. I'm the Executive Director for Girls on the Run, and I'm going to start with just a couple of statistics that I think demonstrate why Girls on the Run is so important for our girls and young women in Frederick County and beyond. So there's a lot of studies that focus on the youth mental health crisis that is plaguing us right now in our community. So there's a number of studies that have demonstrated that mental health concerns among our youth have escalated with a notable increase in stress, anxiety, feelings of fear, and isolation. And this crisis is disproportionately affecting our young women and girls. There are a couple of different surveys, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey being one of them, which many of you are likely familiar with, that demonstrate that 57% of U.S. teenage girls experience persistent sadness or hopelessness. And this rate is rising significantly and has risen over the past decade. There's also another survey that's reported a 60% increase in the number of girls who have seriously considered suicide in the last decade. And there's been a steady increase in this rate over the last 5 to 10 years. In comparison to their male peers, there's been a significant increase. Additionally, another survey has shown that girls have increased in their feelings of sadness at least 4 days per week, and the greatest increase has been seen for girls in 5th grade, as young as 5th grade, reporting sadness and depression tripling. Again, a serious increase when you compare that to their male peers at the same age. And so Girls on the Run, often people hear the word run and they think that we're a running club. We do a lot more. We're really focused on building young girls' confidence, helping them to see that they can set a goal and meet that goal. It's not about the competition of running. It's about finding ways to be joyful in your movement, building team, and really encouraging other girls who maybe you would not have otherwise been on a team with, getting to know each other. And each of our teams is coached by at least 2 adults. There are plenty of studies that show that having just one caring adult who invests their time in you as you're a young girl and growing up significantly increases your resiliency and your ability to battle adversity in your daily lives. So that's really what Girls on the Run is all about. We do run, but not all girls run in our program. We are an accessible program for all, and we encourage girls to find what it is that they like to do in terms of physical activity and try to build from there. So I'll stop there. I know there's some questions coming, but just wanted to lay some groundwork for what we're all about.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting us in City of Frederick. My name is Lakshmi Darba. I'm a scientist by profession. I never thought I would be starting a nonprofit for women, but life events takes us through that. So our mission of our organization is to bring change today for tomorrow. So we call Avani as a voice for women, but now it has expanded to seniors and families as well, because women, you have to associate with family. Essentially, our focus is, we were inspired by the issue that there is an increasing number of ALICE single moms in the county. Every time ALICE report, we see that number is increasing. And the core problem we feel is that the workforce they are not able to earn enough to support their family, children, and so many things. So our idea behind a nonprofit is to provide workforce training to women and place them in a financially stable employment places so that they're able to support. At the same time, provide them with resources that are already available through some of the great nonprofits here, as well as in the audience, I know. Just connect them with what is already there so that their life, and like we said, the mental health part improves a lot. That is our main core mission, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those introductions. Whoever wants to go, we're not going to assign a speaking order here. Tell us who or what inspired you to start and be involved in the work that you do.
I'll take this one. What inspired me was I grew up with a drug-addicted parent, and it significantly impacted my family and split us up at a very young age. Growing up, I also became drug and alcohol addicted, and I ended up having to take, once I got sober, custody of my youngest sibling. When I got sober, my son was 10 months old, and I just remember not wanting to put him through what we went through, the 5 of us went through. And so that's really what pushed me to start this nonprofit. Is there's a ton of ways to tear families apart, but there aren't many ways to keep them together. And so I wanted to commit my life work to being able to keep families together.
I'm happy to go next. So I think similar to what Mayor kind of shared earlier about his 2 daughters, I also have 2 daughters. They're now 9 and 11. When I got initially involved with Girls on the Run, it was as a volunteer 7 or so years ago. It was pre-pandemic, so we know how time goes pre-pandemic. My daughters were younger then, but I learned about the organization, and the mission really resonated with me because I was a runner in high school, and I found that having that team is something that really helped to build my own confidence. Girls on the Run was not around at that time, and so I got involved just really wanting to know how I could contribute locally to empowering young girls as they're going through what is often a very difficult time in life. So we serve girls in 3rd grade through 8th grade, and that's quite a transition. My oldest is now in middle school, and I can see there is such a need for programs that really allow girls to connect with each other and build a sense of confidence in a time when there's just so much happening, both internally within themselves and then with our community as a whole. And so when I had the opportunity to take the role as an executive director, I jumped at that chance. My daughters have now both gone through several seasons of Girls on the Run, and I can see the impact that it makes on them and their friends and the broader community. And so, but they are often my why for what I do day to day and everything, because I believe that our kids, our girls, deserve every opportunity to be successful that we can offer to them.
So the woman-to-woman mentoring story is a little bit different. It started as a result of a needs assessment that was done by the Frederick County Commission for Women back in 2004. I wasn't involved then, but there are plenty of you in this room who were and who have joined the force ever since. But that took some time, and one of the very first pilot program is called the Women in Need Mentoring Pilot Program, which then turned into the Woman-to-Woman Mentoring Program, which then became its own organization. So as momentum for the movement of mentoring and recognizing the need of women needing mentorship, whether it's personal, professional, or otherwise, really has gained momentum over those years to lead us to where we are now. I've only been with this team since October of 2023, but I feel like I love what we do, and I'm excited to do what we do every day.
I would say that the inspiration for me is also partially Frederick County Commission for Women, where I served for 7 years as commissioner, and I was president in 2020. But before joining Frederick County Commission for Women, my own life story was the inspiration to start working towards women. And my story is an immigrant story. I came here in 2001 to work at National Institutes of Health as a postdoctoral researcher, and was working in Maryland, state of Maryland, in industry. However, I went through divorce, and that was something new in my community. Like, we don't have many people going through that. And I felt I was like really alone, and I started looking at what are the issues that women are facing. So first thing I thought I would like to serve on Frederick County Commission for Women, because it's a voluntary service, and I learned a lot there, especially the legislation part, which was something not part of my life. Inspired by that, it was my co-commissioners, like we would always talk about women-to-women mentoring, how great things they're doing. But at that time, women-to-women mentoring had this age, only 25 to 40-year-old women were eligible for the mentoring program. But then we were faced with women who were above 40 because they had to take a break in their work and they needed to come back to workforce. So then that kind of inspired me, like, let me bridge the gap. And just like the needs assessment that you mentioned, We went through the Alice report, and also there was a listening tour organized by Maryland State Commission for Women. And the survey told that in Frederick County, the biggest challenge women were facing was lack of resources or not knowing about what resources were available. So knowing that, so we aim to make sure that find out what all resources are already there and just connect them.
So talk to us about some of the most important things that you have done to grow your organizations. Don't be shy.
So I think the most important thing I've done definitely is advocacy. It's really important to educate the general public on, especially for us, for substance abuse. There's a lot of stigma wrapped around those two words, and really what we try to do is break that stigma and help people to understand that it can affect anyone. It doesn't matter your race, ethnicity, social, economic class. None of that matters when it comes to substance abuse. And so I think the coolest thing we had the opportunity to do was be in a documentary with Paramount and a partnership to end addiction, which is the largest nonprofit for substance abuse based out of New York City. And what we did was we talked about the effect that the addictions crisis is having on families. And from that, even now, we have donors all across the country just from doing that advocacy work through that documentary. So it's really important to get out there and let people know what you're working towards and how they can become involved.
Well, I think to go back to a little bit of what Lakshmi said about growing woman-to-woman mentoring, although it happened before I arrived, is offering more opportunities for more women to participate and really leaning into the idea that we are a safe place for all women, right? All adult women, 18 to however long you are here, I think is a really important message to share with our community, is that we're not just for that younger, 25 to 35 or, 18 to 35 or whatever the youngest part of our age spectrum is, but that we have something for everyone, and it appears and it manifests itself in different ways, and it's important to meet folks where they are. And the more we share that message, I think the more our organization grows to meet our women in the community where they are and offer them a spot to come to us whenever they're ready.
So some of the important acts that things we have done is we did start focusing with Alice women, but as we started working with women, more people from my community, South Asian community, started approaching us because they were able to communicate better. And the challenge they were facing is mostly moms had taken break from work and they were having difficulty returning to work. So we started making sure that our grants did focus on them and highlighted, and you would be surprised, some of them are highly educated engineers, but they would they had lost the confidence that they can actually get back to workforce. So I think we have a really good partner, training partner, Minori LLC, and she's also a very inspiring woman who said, let's do what we need to do. And what we learned is that it doesn't cost anything. When our organization is only volunteers working selflessly. So we were able to launch without any cost. And so this has been the thing that we try to do important is we don't charge anything. We accommodate every woman who comes and asks us. So I think that's something I really want to continue again.
So for us, there's a couple of things. One, Girls on the Run is an international organization. We are a council of Girls on the Run. We started here in Frederick County in 2013 and started expanding westward. We now serve all of Western Maryland through Garrett County. Starting in 2021, we expanded to Allegheny and Garrett. And so there's actually quite a lack of youth serving organizations the further west you go in Maryland. And so one thing that we've been intentional about is how we're partnering with additional communities outside of Frederick. Additionally, so we are a cost-based program, but we also never want cost to be a barrier for a girl to participate in our program. And so we've done a lot of work to build our funding partnerships. The City of Frederick, thank you for your support. I see that the health department is here as well, and we've partnered to make sure that any girl who wants access to our program can have access to that program, and really making sure that the financial barrier is never a barrier. And then we've also really grown our volunteer base, which I think we'll probably all be talking about ways that you all can support nonprofits. But volunteers are really at the heart of the program, and without volunteers, we couldn't have the reach and do the work that we do every day. And so continuing to grow our volunteer base who want to make an impact on the girls and communities we serve is really vital, and something that we focused on and will continue to focus on in the upcoming years.
So I think we want to stipulate that funding is obviously a need for any organization that is nonprofit and doing the kind of work that you do. So check that box right at the beginning so that we can maybe move on to some of the other substantive ways that you can talk about the challenges that you face in doing the work that you do and what motivates you to keep doing the work that you do.
I can come forward. Of course, challenges, right? Like I said, people from my South Asian community come and approach right away because they are able to associate or talk in the language. But then, we wish we could reach out to more and more women because it's the same thing. We want to help them get a job. And I'll tell an example, I think, which we have the Facebook page called Everything Frederick. This was like 1 or 2 years back. A single mom, she posted saying that she was unemployed and she needed some help in Frederick. There were like 200 comments by the time I saw that post, giving her ideas. But I noticed that most of the ideas were, go take up a cleaning job. And I also left a message for her and said that, why don't you contact me? And she reached back. Turns out she had a bachelor's in computer science long back. And so we said, why don't we focus on that? And she went and applied in FCPS and she got a job there. So I feel like, we have to listen and we have to tell them, like, you are capable of that. She did take our workforce training. It's just a bridging gap to make people come up with the way the office or anything functions administratively. So I say that it's a challenge reaching out to people, especially to tell everyone. But City of Frederick, I think today I'm really happy that this would be kind of achieved.
So we have two major challenges that just remain challenges. Childcare is one of our biggest challenges. The prices just don't seem to go down ever, and we're looking at anywhere in the county between $400 to $500 a week for a newborn. And we're talking about women coming off the streets that have absolutely no access to resources, let alone that type of money. And so it's been very challenging for us to try to come up with creative ways to help women be able to be gainfully employed full-time and have that child care barrier. The other thing is affordable housing. We work very hard side by side with our women, and once they hit anywhere between 9 months and a year of sobriety, we start trying to transition them out. The problem is we can't find anywhere for them to go or anywhere affordable for them to go. So these are two things that my board of directors is working extremely hard to try to combat these issues, but we just keep plugging away at it. It's getting better.
I would say that one of the challenges that we face as an organization that focuses on mentoring is that we are kind of relying on some of the critical services that are provided by some other organizations to help our women get to a place where they're ready to join a mentoring relationship. So we sort of have a coexisting or codependent relationship. So when those systems are not supportive, then it makes it more difficult for us to absorb and bring in new women to our organization. So support all of those things because that we all help each other that way. But I think another challenge that we face directly is that not everyone sees themselves as someone who is a mentor or can be mentored, right? I think that's a mindset that sometimes as women we forget that we have a valuable story to tell and that our experience and our journey is valuable to someone, but it's important to tell that story. So bringing, don't be afraid, providing and sharing that information with someone else can be valuable regardless of how you sort of see it as yourself or if you don't feel like it will have value to someone else. So sharing that story because it is important, because it might touch someone and help inspire them to do something great or inspire change or inspire something else that you may not even have thought of.
So I think aside from funding, our greatest challenge is really ensuring that we have enough volunteers for all of the girls who want to participate in our program. Our volunteers are often parents of girls who participate in the program and or educators at the sites where the girls meet for the program. And so we all know our educators have a lot on their plates right now, as do parents. And so, and sometimes the timing of our program doesn't always align with those work schedules for people to be able to come and volunteer with the program after school. And so being able to continue to get the word out about what the value is of Girls on the Run and how people can contribute in different ways to the mission and the organization.
I would also add, besides funding and what I said, there's one more issue I never mentioned till now, is that we work with domestic violence victims, especially from immigrant areas. And our challenge is we don't have good immigrant lawyers in the county. Most of them are dependents, sometimes working, sometimes not working. And they are all constantly living under the fear that something goes wrong, their dependent visa would be canceled by the spouse, and they have to go back and again restart. Sometimes with kids, it's even more difficult. So thanks to Hartley House, they have helped us previously, but still they have only one lawyer, so they cannot support for beyond protective orders. So we do face a challenge that we go out to other organizations, and especially finances is the biggest challenge. For survival, they can't afford to pay a lawyer for immigration proceedings. Yeah.
So I think you all did a great job of talking about the challenges that you're doing, that you're facing. I wanted to give you an opportunity to expand a little bit more on sort of the motivation. Maybe it's just the need that you see in the community, but what motivates you to keep going? What inspires you?
I would say that the inspiration and the motivation for myself, and I'll be so bold as to extend that to my team as well, is that we see the impact of our programs on the women who participate in them in so many different ways. So whether a mentee comes back as a mentor comes back as a mentor multiple times, a mentor joins our board of directors. I mean, I think there are lots of ways that our network builds as the momentum grows. And I think that's the inspiration for meeting new people. And every time you meet someone, they're like, oh, I was a mentee, or I was a mentor, or my sister did this, or my neighbor did this, or I heard about you through X. That is inspirational because you know that I love those conversations where I get to talk to someone about that in every interaction, and hearing those is always motivates me to do more of that and collect that inspiration and share it back to the team.
I agree with Amanda 1,000%. It's even though it's hard work, it's those rewards, right? It's watching that mom get to have her kid full time for the first time. It's a child being born safely, not drug addicted, into the program, and we're able to help that mom stay in her child's life. It's watching, our residents graduate and then come back and work for the program. I mean, that is the paycheck right there. That's what you're working towards, is helping them to be independent and being the women that you always knew they could be.
Ditto. And ditto. It's absolutely the participants in our program. So one of the things that we do each season, we get donated running shoes through Souls of Love, which many of you are probably familiar with. So each one of our girls who is in need of a pair of shoes will be fitted with a pair of running shoes for their season. We do that for all of our community schools and Title I schools, and then any girl at any other site who needs a pair of shoes. And those are my favorite days to visit our teams because watching them try on the shoes, try them out when they might have been showing up for their first couple of practices in a pair of Crocs or flip-flops and running their laps that way, and then seeing them just absolutely light up and say, I get to take these home with me. These are mine. Yes, they are yours. And just, that light that it brings, that this is theirs, and the confidence that they gain from knowing that they can do anything that they put their minds to. And I've heard several girls say that. I didn't know that I could finish a 5K, but I set that goal and I did it. And just knowing that they can carry that life lesson with them, that there's a goal in front of them, and they know that they can achieve that. Hearing our girls say that is absolutely what keeps me inspired.
I don't think I have anything different from what they said, especially what you said, Andrea House. Carly, I go with her even more, that working with every woman, they become my friend forever. So some pick up faster, but some take longer time, 6 months or 2 years. I keep getting phone calls. I have to talk and just tell them that you can do it. But they all become successful, and that's what keeps me going, that everything is achievable. Yeah.
So we're going to open it up to questions from the floor in a moment, but before we do that, just one more question for you. And you've each touched upon this in your own way about other resources that you might need, or opportunities for partnership that could enhance the work that you do in the community. Expand more on other resources and partnerships and the way those could benefit you and ones that you've perhaps identified.
So ours is a organization organization with only volunteers. We don't have a physical office. We use our public places like a library. We book those places and do our programs. It's running, but there are times, especially when we have to provide a shelter, we end up bringing domestic violence victim to our house. It's a big risk because it's a big risk for our own families to have that. And at that point, I feel like, wish we had more of that physical space where we can provide safety as well as mentoring.
So I would say I'm incredibly grateful to be part of the nonprofit community in Frederick County. I've worked in a couple of nonprofits other places, and I don't think that the nonprofit connection, the support for each other is as strong as I've seen it in Frederick. I think that we all work pretty well together and collaborate in ways that in other areas of the state there's more competition for resources instead of collaboration. And so I think that there are often times that things come up and I'm like, okay, here are some other nonprofits that are doing similar work. Let's be at the table together. Let's collaborate on this. And so and it doesn't even necessarily have to be youth-serving organizations. I see some other nonprofit leaders here that we've collaborated with. And I think Frederick is really unique in that aspect, that we really do work well together and collaborate. And I would just love to see those connections and the dots connected continue to grow so that we're really wrapping around our entire community who might be in need of our services.
I would agree with Ray. No one does it like Frederick. I've been in multiple counties and played around in nonprofit a little bit of everywhere, and Frederick County has this sense, and I'm biased because I love Frederick. This month I get to celebrate 19 years of sobriety, and it's because of this city. It truly is. Thank you. Has always poured into me, so it is such a privilege to be able to pour that back in and to pay it forward to other people. But I don't care who I pick the phone up and call, someone can always refer me somewhere. And that's what I love about Frederick. It's never put the phone down and we don't connect you somewhere. Someone always has an answer for you. And that's our superpower in Frederick, and I'd like to see us expand that, like Ray said, and just keep doing what we do best, and that's supporting each other.
Add to that. But I will say, I like to think of all of our nonprofits as like a wheel, right? And you have the different spokes on the wheel, and each one sits sort of at the center. But the things that we're really good at are sharing resources with others. You know, we know that, you know, other organizations do this better than we can, and rather than, you know, some nonprofits will say, okay, well, I want dollars for that, so I'm going to take it on, and then I'm going to have mission creep, and then it just makes it harder to do all the services really well. But I think you're right. Frederick does a really great job of knowing what organization does what, but also being able to say, hey, this person needs this, and we're going to share, and be able to share those without feeling like it's a competition, and I love that.
Okay, now it's in your hands, audience. If you've got any questions, if you have a question for someone specifically, if you could identify who you want to ask that question to, that would be great. And I did see a hand go up down here.
It's a new resource that we're going to be having. We've been working on it for 9 years now to establish that. And hopefully our building will be finished very soon. Honestly, we've been having, similar to what you've been talking about, our challenge has been money throughout all of this. My question for you, though, is, so we here in the deaf community, how can I phrase this? Honestly, the deaf community is one of the largest ignored community groups. I was the principal at Maryland School for the Deaf for many years, and I was able to identify, honestly, as you were speaking, I thought of people in the past who I could have referred to these different groups. Each time someone mentioned something, I realized I could have used those resources. So thank you for that. That was amazing. Another thing I want to say, I agree with you that Frederick is an amazing, honestly, I'd say we're the best city in all of Maryland. And we serve, honestly, we end up serving the whole state because we're so on top of it. We try our best. Frederick first, and then everyone else. But anyway, my point is, I do have 3 questions involved in all of this. So really, you were talking about the partnership. Can I get some more clarification on that of what it looks like? And then specifically for Carly, the difference between your house, the Andreas House, and then your organization, how do I know who to refer to? Andreas House and Harvey House, apologize, the interpreter messed that up. And so so one thing I'm seeing, I see a lot of girls who could benefit from the Girls Who Run organization. And then last of all, my final question is, have you experienced any deaf people approaching you? And because I know that many deaf women have gone to the Harvey House for assistance. One problem is a lot of time there's not interpreters. Has that been an issue that you've run into? Okay, that's it. That is my questions.
Thank you. So I'm going to start, and I think we'll pass it down. So I'm actually really pleased and excited to share that this past fall was our first season with a team of Girls on the Run at the Maryland School for the Deaf. So ensuring that we have an inclusive and accessible program environment has been absolutely at the top of my list when I came into the organization. And so last season, we were able to have a team at the Maryland School for the Deaf. They participated in our 5K event here in Frederick, but it definitely made us think very intentionally about how accessible or not accessible we are to the deaf community and other communities. And so even just thinking and planning for our next 5K, we actually had some participants who came to our 5K event in a different county, and we did not have sign language interpreters at that additional event. And it was just a light bulb that went off and said, you know what, from now on, we will always have sign language interpreters at all of our events. And so it's helped us to think about accessibility on even a broader scale. But I'm so excited, and the girls at the Maryland School for the Deaf had an absolute awesome experience in the fall, and we're looking forward to our next season with them.
Thank you for your questions. So we'll just do this quick lesson really quick, this little triangle as I like to call it. So there's Hartley House, Andrea's House, and Faith House. So Hartley House does predominantly domestic violence. We are predominantly at Andrea's House, substance abuse, and then Faith House deals predominantly with women experiencing homelessness. So I refer to both of them, and they refer to me. So we understand what our limitations are, and we make sure that that individual is going to the best place that they can be in for whatever issue that they're experiencing. So if I get a call for someone that's homeless, I would pass that to Faith House because they do that very well. We focus predominantly on substance abuse. So hopefully that kind of clears it up.
I would say that we have not worked with deaf community, but it's a very good thing that you pointed out, and we would like to be prepared for that, providing workforce training to deaf community. We can work on that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and same here. I would love to expand how we work with the deaf community on the mentor and the mentee side to ensure we're finding inclusive ways to support all the members of the community.
So you have a choice. You can either come down to the microphone or we bring it to you. Okay. Gerard, you got a job.
The mic. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. I'm Chris Colville. I'm the CEO and president of the YMCA. And I'm embarrassed to say that 2 out of the 4 organizations, quite frankly, I really wasn't aware that you existed and or knew much about it. So I'm happy to hand you my business card before you leave. And to Coralie specifically, we're the largest child care provider in Frederick County. And with the recent announcement of FCC closing their facility, it's only going to create a greater need. Happy to work with you one-on-one to talk about how we subsidize kids. And we work with the state and get also families that might qualify for purchase of care. We don't turn anybody away. And I would say to you that many of our after-school programs have space and are not at capacity. So there is space available. Now for the infant care and some others, there is a wait list, and you're right, it's very expensive, but happy to work with you and talk about that. And for you on the end, I know that meeting space and things like that are also a need for small nonprofits. Happy to offer up any of the YMCA facilities to any of you guys or anybody else for meetings, activities, things like that. We actually support 3 other nonprofits. COIP just moved into one of our facilities, so we're giving them free office space. Frederick Arts Council is moving into our art center on Church Street this week or last week, and we've been supporting Blessings in the Backpack for the last 5 or 6 years by giving them office space and also storage space for their food. So you just have to keep making phone calls or ask the right people because there are resources available. YMCA is one, but there are other resources and other nonprofits that do a lot of cross-sharing or whatever. That was my biggest question, aside from funding, is what is your greatest need? So if you can continue to think about what are your physical resource needs aside from funding, come up with that list, share that with the folks with the city so they can shoot it out to some of us that might run larger nonprofits. Happy to either provide that direct service to you or connect you to the other folks that I know can fill that gap.
Another hand.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you could talk about maybe a structural or a system thing that may be business as usual, that you may benefit from a change, and if you have any suggestions on how that could change, just thinking about how to make things easier for you to do the work that you do. Yeah, so a structural or a system thing that may just be business as usual, but would benefit from a change, something that you have to do, but it maybe is cumbersome or something that could be made easier for you.
A process manual? Just one that writes itself. I mean, I think those are always things that it's always on your, okay, I'm going to do it when I'm not busy list, and that not busy day, week, month, never really materializes.
So I know for Andrea's house, we're currently trying to find a way. We've been getting bombarded with phone calls about single fathers. So we did just create a program called the Heart Program, which will start March 18th. And we're reaching out to single dads and also people who don't have access to transitional living, whether they can afford it or whatever the situation, there's a waiting list, whatever the situation may be. But to kind of be able to reach more than who's in our house. We understand that this is a much broader problem than what we're able to deal with. So we're trying to build a little bit more structure and process around that.
This is not a direct answer to your question, but I'm gonna put it out there anyways. Transportation is often a barrier for our participants. It's not something that we currently offer or really have the capacity to offer, and so usually with our sites, it's a process of troubleshooting if there's a transportation issue that comes up, figuring out how to make sure that a girl can get home from practice, because usually practice is after school. But it's something that we've sort of been grappling with for the past couple of years to make sure that transportation is not an issue. And in particular, also for our 5K events, we want to make sure that every girl who completes the season gets to come to our 5K and participate, and sometimes transportation presents as a barrier. So that's something that we've been talking about, how we either partner, and I know there are plenty of organizations that have vans or transportation, so potential partnership there, but also just thinking about sustainability for us as an organization.
That too. Transportation, besides the physical space. What we see is that we keep adapting based on the community needs every year, which comes through these various reports, and try to train ourselves to work towards the need, what is needed. So we're constantly changing our priorities based on what is required.
Hi, good evening. I have a question. Shayna Knight with the city. All of you are extremely inspiring, and thank you for what you do. You talked about what motivates you, but I'm curious just now more than ever, times are really hard, and a lot of people rely on you women. So what do you all do for yourself, just as individuals, to fill your cup, to keep going?
I have a very tiny dog who is very energetic and loves to go for walks, and if I don't do that, there are a lot of things that happen that are not good. So motivated to be physical, go outside, take the dog for a walk, that helps. And those are my self-care moments where I don't generally look at my phone. My phone's in my pocket. It's generally off. It's time for myself to sort of walk, reflect. I have a nice place where I can walk in the woods and just sort of be quiet for a minute, which helps sometimes.
Nothing. That's my honest answer, yes. But seriously, anytime I get with my family, the nonprofit grind, any of us can tell you it's gruesome. And anytime I get to spend with my family and just kind of get to relax and just be Carlia, and not have to be on is where kind of my peace comes from.
I was also going to say nothing. That's not entirely true. So for me, I am still a runner, and so getting up early and or finding time on the weekends where I can run by myself. I don't run with other people because that's like my me time, where I just want to put my music in and just not think about anything. And then honestly, spending time with my kids is also my bucket filler right now. My schedule is crazy between this and my other obligations. And so having that time when I can spend with my two daughters is also a bucket filler for me.
I'm an empty nester since last 2 years. I have twins who are gone to college. So I also got a dog. And the dog is small and very active. So I live in the dog's house, basically. And so I'm looking forward to going back home right away because I have to give a treat and say sorry. Yeah. But besides that, being a scientist, I love doing science experiments. So I work with children on science projects. So yesterday was the deadline for Frederick County Science Fair. 5 or 6 students were constantly calling me. We were finalizing their projects. I even visited a home and guided them what to do, what to submit. So I love seeing, working on science, especially coming up with new ideas. So please do attend on March 22nd, Frederick County's Science and Engineering Fair.
I feel like you shouldn't have said that out loud. Any parent who's ever had a kid going through the science fair is always looking for the person that knows more about science than they do. What a great resource. We have time to take one more question from the audience.
If I could ask again, maybe I asked too many questions previously, so I wanted to circle back around. Could I get some more explanation on what you meant by partnerships? You were talking about the multiple partnerships. And how does that work? What does that look like? Could I get some more detail?
So I can start. So for us, we partner often with other youth-serving organizations, and so by partner, really I mean collaborate on programming, staff. So for example, last summer we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club here in Frederick and the Asian American Center on a summer camp. So we worked together, we used their space, we did co-advertising and co-marketing, and provided services together to groups of students that we were all involved with. And so for us, we also partner directly with the schools. So that means really just sharing resources and marketing and working together to identify volunteers, get the word out about our program. So that's really what I mean by partner when I refer to it in our program.
And I would say that partners for us are ways that we work with other organizations to mutually benefit, right? So if a organization helps bring us mentors or mentees, that's a good partnership. Or we work with an organization to help provide training, or we partner on an event like our Women in Science Speak event, where everyone has an equal stake in the outcome. And we also partner with other organizations who have expertise that we don't have. You know, so for example, we were grateful to have some money from a Splash grant last spring to be able to support some different trainings for our mentors, including having an organization like the Frederick Center come and work with our mentors to do a specific training around the services that they provide, and other organizations that can bring expertise to us so that we can have better resources and provide better tools to our mentors.
Well, I want to acknowledge Miss Elizabeth Chung, who's here. Let's not forget she's our Energizer bunny for the county and city, so we draw a lot of inspiration from her. She takes care of a lot, but we try to identify what are the missing parts and definitely work on that, and she's very helpful with collaborations. Apart from that, I also want to acknowledge Miss Yesela Bravo, if she's there. She's the one who connected us. We have a seniors program. She connected us with the Department of Aging and they came up with a program that we do 4 times in a year of a senior program for South Asian seniors, because their challenges are different, and really thankful for that partnership as well. I also saw Miss Zore, I think. I don't know where she's, there. She's from the UNESCO BMW Body Mind Wellness, and I think that's a great organization for mental health as well. Thank you for that collaboration. And Nigerians in Frederick, Dr. Yawande Oladende, and others. So I'm really happy to have Ms. Rosario Campos, who helps us with Hispanic community, and that's how we are able to without collaborations, we cannot do much. Thank you.
One more question for you, really important one. I wouldn't let you talk about money before, but now we want you to do a commercial for something that you've got upcoming, some opportunity for the community to celebrate the work that you do, support you in the work that you do. This is the advertisement.
All right, since we went end to end the other time, I guess I'll go first. So Woman to Woman Mentoring, we're proud to offer all of our programs for free, and that doesn't come without an internal cost, right? But I know that in the community and the world that we live in, grant funding is not infinite, and we need to make sure that we are looking at ways to support our programs that live outside of that. But it's also our birthday coming up, right? So in June, we are celebrating our 10th year as our own independent 501c3, and we're looking to build initiatives around our birthday and help keep us going to help sustain ourselves in the long term. So if you like to support women and programs that support women, we would love to support you at our birthday party and offer you a piece of cake. And candles.
So currently, and we are looking for volunteers on this project, we made the decision that instead of trying to find daycares, we were going to build out our playroom and make it a daycare. And so, another project. It's gonna take a bit, but it is definitely something that's long overdue. And we're already halfway there in funding. And so that is the most major thing. That is going to be a game changer for Andrea's House. It's going to allow women to get jobs immediately. It's going to stop that crisis of having to find out where their children are going to be. The most recent thing we have coming up is going to be our gala, which is April 26th at the Delaplane Arts Center. And we are raising money to sustain Andrea's House, and that money will go towards this project of making sure that we have childcare for our women.
April 26th? Yeah. Got it. Okay. So for Girls on the Run, we are about to launch our spring season. So if you are somebody who thinks you might like to make a difference in the lives of young girls in Frederick County, the time commitment is 3 hours per week for 10 weeks. So it's not a significant amount of time, but it makes a huge impact on our girls. Our next event will be June 1st. It will be our 5K event, which is our culminating event for the season. We are holding that at Frederick Community College this year. And so we'd love to have you come out and support that as well. You can walk, jump, hop, skip, however you want to finish the 5K. We'd love to have you come out. And if you're not interested in completing a 5K, we're always looking for volunteers. That's a one-time commitment, so we'd love to see you there.
Well, actually, we are expanded to Montgomery County. One of the reasons being we want to get some funds from there as well and use it for our program throughout. So we're looking forward to that, and we are also planning a fundraiser this year, sometime in summer though. Our birthday is International Women's Day, March 8th, so every year we celebrate that with pride. And volunteers are welcome anytime. There are different kinds of volunteering for women, for children STEM programming, or for seniors. We have all kinds of volunteering opportunities.
I'm embarrassed to say that March 8th is International Women's Day. I'm not embarrassed that that's the day, but that's also the day of our Woman to Woman Mentoring fundraiser is this Saturday. In my mind, it's already passed and I've already wrapped it up. But Clutch the Future, if you have not been before, it's a great event. It's a big fundraiser for us, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't say it the first time. So.
Anybody need a do-over on anything? You're all good. Who run the world? Girls. I just learned that tonight. Sorry. Yes, I know. I learned that tonight also. Thank you all so much. I'm always impressed every day with the commitment and compassion that our nonprofit community in Frederick demonstrates every day in the work that they do. And can we just say thank you to this wonderful panel of leaders in our community. And I turn the podium back to Lakeisha Wade.
Oh, no claps for me. All right, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. I don't need claps. I'm not wounded. It's okay. It is so good. Wasn't this good? It was so good. One more hand for Amanda Whitener, Carlia Summers, Ray Gallagher, and Lakshmi Darba. Thank you all so much. This was great. It's always wonderful to hear how people started the organization, how we can continue to support these efforts, and didn't a lot of the information resonate with you as well? That's good, because I not only want you to take this information home, I want you to continue to speak with each other, to continue to build community and see ways that we can come together and really move our organizations forward, move these organizations that are really helping to shape Frederick. The reason I'm really here, though, is to remind you that, for some of you have heard of this before, but this QR code, if you scan this code, it'll allow you to put in information about the organizations you represent, organizations that you know about, any of those organizations that will be helpful for us, because at the end of the year, we are pulling together a full list of all of the nonprofits that help to really move Frederick forward for us. We know what a lot of the developments that have come across recently in the beginning of this year, that a lot of organizations can use funding, they can use exposure. They need to make sure, we need to make sure that they move forward. It's important. And I won't go any further into the developments of why we think that's important, why we know that's important. We're gonna keep it a nice, happy time, okay? But I wanna thank you all again for coming here tonight. We are going to keep doing these every single month. We're going to highlight new and different nonprofits. I heard someone stand up and say, I didn't know that organization existed. And other people were saying, I didn't even know that you all provided that, even though I knew your name. So now this gives us an opportunity. We're providing a space for you to come in and understand that these organizations exist, that there are things that we can do moving forward. We can be empowered in this space and not feel as if all hope is lost, okay? We can do this. I hope we leave empowered. Please collaborate with one another, and let's move forward. Thank you again for coming tonight. And thank you, Mayor.